Hi, welcome to One Foot in the Grave podcast. I'm Dan.
And I'm fooling around with my microphone.
Oh.
Say. I did a sentence with a verb. I'm Jake. This is a top-notch podcast. Yep. Get ready to get blown away.
Yeah, sorry we've been away for so long, listener.
You know what happened?
We stopped.
I kept falling asleep.
You know what happened? It didn't matter, so we didn't do it.
I know a lot of person is relying on us to get this podcast out, but
oh, that's nice. Be sure to slurp directly into the microphone next time.
That's my coffee.
Because, every quality podcast has obnoxious sounds associated.
So yeah, cheers, mate. It's been a while. What's going on with you guys?
Well, I can hear myself in the background of yours.
Okay, I'll turn down my headphones.
Sorry.
We're terrible at this. I think we've gotten worse on our 3-week break.
Oh, it's been way more than 3 weeks. I think it's been at least a month, maybe more.
Oh, it could be.
No, like for sure.
We're not good podcasters.
Well, I mean, I don't think we're maybe we are the worst. I don't know anymore.
You know what's funny? Sometimes, like, if I'm listening to True Crime Garage, I'll hear them make, like, a little mistake.
Yeah.
Like, Nick will be talking. For example, Nick will be talking. Nick will be talking, and he'll clear his voice like that and then start again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, they're so professional. And it kind of catches you when they make that mistake. But then I think of our podcast, and I'm like, it's probably 80% mistakes and 20% actual stories.
If. Yeah. That's being very generous to us.
That's a generous 80%, 20% split.
Today, whilst podcasting, I'm doing a little watercolor painting.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
I thought you were just furiously masturbating.
Well, I'm also doing that. It's a new thing that I do. Where I just take whatever sort of excitement I can in life and amplify it by furiously masturbating it during it.
It didn't go over so well on Space Mountain.
They have infrared cameras now, so I was woefully
ever since
unaware.
That kid had his head cut off. Does somebody have their head cut off on Space Mountain? We should do a whole episode of fatal injuries at.
What?
It really sounds like you're whacking off.
I swear I am not.
Yeah.
Really sounds like you're whacking off. God, we're the fucking worst. Listen
this
to you,
is, of course,
just like
a true crime /
slurping away. What a fucking disaster this thing is.
It's already going to be terrible. I'll tell you what. I'm very sleepy. I'm awake now that we're chatting, but I was like, oh shit, I can't crack wise. I'm exhausted. I've got a nice vacation coming up though. Next week I'm off, so maybe we could actually get one out next week too, and then we'd be like 2 podcasts in.
What? Oh my gosh, that takes like major planning.
2 podcasts in 2 weeks. We can do this. We can do it.
2 podcasts 1 week. Could be an internet sensation.
It would be amazing.
You know what?
It's like 2 girls, 1 cup.
The water, that was the reference. The water paint is not doing what I had anticipated.
Well, I mean, masters of watercolor understand that it doesn't cooperate. They know how to manipulate the paint to do what they want. I was never good at it.
Yeah, well, I'm exceptionally poor.
Are you doing it on paper or on canvas?
Oh, just on my forehead.
I mean, how many lines are in a swastika?
I was trying to get into the mood of the podcast.
Today I'll be talking about Hitler. No.
The most famous mass murderer of our time.
I don't know who's worse, Hitler or Stalin. They were both pretty.
I don't know. I think Hitler's got more.
Hitler got the notoriety.
Yeah, he's got more cred, I reckon. I think if you called someone like, "Oh, stop it! You're just acting like Stalin. What is this, Stalingrad?" Or if you said, "What is this, Nazi Germany?" People would be more offended by the whole Nazi thing.
That's probably true.
Yeah. They're like, no, I'm not racist. Like, it's like...
That's true. Often the people accusing you of being like a Nazi because you disagree with them on the internet are the people who are most like Joseph Stalin.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah.
Yeah, we're deep. We're deep.
Thank you. I am a totalitarian.
Yeah.
Anywho.
And you're a total fuckface.
Stalin was known for accusing his enemies of fuckfacery.
I thought you were going somewhere for legit. Turns out it was our usual complete nonsense.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, complete
this
rubbish.
Painting that I'm doing, if you could see, if this was not an audio only.
Put a picture of it up on the Facebook page. You know what's interesting to me is we have like 137 people follow that Facebook page. They can't all
listen.
I mean, I was putting out advertisements for I was just seeing how Facebook advertising works.
Well, 90% of them are bots. You realize that, right?
Did I send you the latest bot addition to my friend file on Facebook?
Yeah, but I get those all the time too. I mean, it's just...
Okay, so it's not just me. I didn't click on one and now I'm getting them for life.
No. It's just that these... if you like a picture or something like that, like I like a lot of tattoo picture things,
or like a gaping anus.
If you like gapinganus.com, sometimes it sets you up to sort of get these weird people who are into weird stuff, like yourself. Oh, this is a fail. Hold on. I'm gonna just... Hold on.
Here, come say hi, dude.
Hold on.
Just a sec. I think Jack wants to say hello. He just snuck downstairs to say hello.
Hi.
He now, you won't be able to hear Uncle Dan, but you can say, have a good podcast, dude.
Have a good podcast.
All right.
There you go. Okay, say love ya.
Jake, I love you too.
Oh,
bye,
hey.
Dan.
Hey, bye. Love ya. Bye.
Jake, talk about my bleeding lip.
Oh, okay. I'll talk about your teeth, too.
Alice lost her tooth today.
And my bleeding lip. Remember when I slid down the hallway and banged my lip on the...
Oh, that was crazy.
I know.
Yeah, we've talked
we'll
about that.
talk about it.
We've talked about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
You head right up and have a good night. Tomorrow's the last day of school.
Oh, for what? For
That's
the
right.
summer.
You had to get stitches. Yeah. Yeah, it's a summer vacation.
Oh, that sucks.
That's what we're telling him, that he was actually expelled for severe, dark, racist comments in class. No,
I can see that. I can see that.
You know what's funny? You know how he's all into R&B.
Yeah.
He was outside. We're watering our lawn. I had to rototiller.
I know. Mom told me that it's a complete.
I nearly broke my
travesty.
Yeah. So we have a big yard. It's all been rototilled by yours truly, with a 1973 Honda rototiller that just like it's basically just a back sprainer.
Yeah. Well,
we name it for the positive thing, the rototilling. But they should name it for the negative thing, the back spraining. Anyway,
yeah, Mom
I did the whole lawn.
That it was a bit of a calamity. What ended up your beautiful lawn?
Oh, it's just shit now. So it's all chopped up, and I've got sprinklers running, and Jack's always out playing with the hose. And I said, Jack,
you've got hose? I thought you lived in a nice.
Okay, that's well, that's where I'm going. So you know how he's really into rap music. It's like Snoop Dogg. He's always with his hose too.
Oh, jeez.
He thinks they're talking about like a hose, like a garden hose. It's like, Jack, these hoes don't want you no more. You're cold product.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So weird. I don't even know. I haven't even checked my notes.
I wrote mine the day after our last podcast. I found a really cool case, and now I'm going to present it in a really shitty way that you would definitely hear in a better podcast.
Mine's pretty bad too. Well, buckle up, folks. You're in for a real
We
treat.
we also couple quick housekeeping notes. My friend Dave wrote me. So Dave is in
Dave Navarro?
he was in. I'm good friends with Dave Navarro. No, this guy is a friend of mine who was in the same high school as me, a couple years older. Anyway, he was a funny dude. He wrote and he said, I listened to all the back episodes of your podcast and it's really funny. And I was like, dude, that means we have 2 listeners. And so Dave, little shout out to you. And then Lisa wrote us. I mean, it's an extensive email. I don't know if are you reading that one today?
No, I haven't read it.
We're not prepared, Lisa.
I haven't read it yet because I've been working.
She sent 2 emails, so we kind of have to. She was like, "Oh, I have to make a correction on the first one," but I never really got to read the emails because I'm always at work when I sit down and look at my emails.
Yeah.
So maybe next episode you can, if we do one next week, you can kind of skeet out, don't do a story, and just read her emails.
Yeah, totally do that.
Free podcast material.
Yeah. That's totally what I'm going to do, actually.
Because we've got one psychic, 2 people who believe the psychic is full of shit, and Dave. The entire audience of the podcast. We're just kidding. We don't think you're full of shit, Lisa.
No, I don't think so.
No, weird shit happens.
Weird shit does happen, and
Dan went to Disney World with Dad after he died.
Yeah, and
Who knew?
Sorry, I think I'm being possessed by him right now. It's an inside joke. That
He was notorious. He was notorious for sinus issues.
only you and I will get that joke.
Yeah.
But yeah, whatever.
Fuck it. Fuck it. We'll talk about it next week. So you want to go first today?
Well, I'm pretty much into this painting, so why don't you go ahead?
All right. Listen, if we had some music like True Crime Garage, this is where I'd start playing the... Oh. Hold that thought. Hello?
Hi.
Mom called.
What?
Sorry. We're just doing the podcast. What's going on?
Oh, you're talking to Dan.
You're on the podcast right now.
Oh, well, I'll tell you. Dan is a shit because he's called me on his way home from driving the kids to school and said, I'll call you when I get home. And I've been waiting for him.
I did.
I'm the intermediary between you guys because she can't hear you, Dan, but he's saying that yes, he did and he forgot. And he's watercolor painting and I think he lost track of time.
Tell him I think that he might have 1 foot in the grave because I'm going to kill him.
Yeah.
It'd be really funny if you were like, Dan
calling
says
to
that he
say
doesn't love you,
Sally
and that's why I
never
didn't
called.
go.
She called the doctor and they said not to bother coming in.
Sally called?
I called Sally.
Oh, yeah, that's a whole other
Shit.
topic.
That's a whole other topic, speaking of 1 foot in the grave. And,
You know she listens to this podcast. No,
well, she didn't.
she can't
the
even work a
doctors-
television.
Yeah, the doctors said that there was no need to come in. Bruising is very common.
She called me and said, I'm purple from my tits to my knees.
Oh, but that's her. That's her.
And
No,
her
it isn't
arms have
bruised.
turned-
I know.
And her arms have turned black.
My arms are turning black. Should I go to the hospital? I said, yeah.
Sounds pretty normal.
Sounds legit.
But she didn't. But she sounds okay.
All right, Mom, we'll say hi to our rabid fan base. And I'm going
Well,
to hang up on you.
hi, folks. This could be the last
Okay, you're taking
broadcast.
too long. Goodbye, Mom. Okay, she's gone.
Oh God, Jake, that's so mean. Poor Mom. And apparently,
I'll call her back after.
yeah, fucking right, just like me. Also, you tore up her driveway. Apparently,
Yeah, I did tear up her driveway. Sorry, Mom, I hung up on you a little prematurely there.
You hung up on me. Now you've got 1 foot in the grave.
Yeah.
This really could be your
Well,
last
Dan
podcast.
Dan was just saying how I when you're having your driveway fixed. I was going to tell him I drove the motorcycle over and didn't realize how deep they would have dug the driveway down. So I had to like jump the motorcycle, Dad's big motorcycle, down into the driveway.
Yeah,
and then I realized I couldn't park on it.
I mean, so, it would be completely ridiculous to park on the fucking side of the road.
Then you drove over my
then I drove over
walkway
her brick steps
moved all the bricks.
Spun the tire on them and shot the bricks out.
Yeah,
the
I know. I think you're fucking retarded.
So they had to stop paving.
Dan, that's not the right word. It's dev.
I think you might be a fucking dev.
Anyway, I'll let you go do your podcast.
Okay, love you, Mom.
Enjoy.
Dan
Okay,
says he
bye.
loves you too. And he apologizes
Sure.
profusely. Okay,
Bye.
bye. Yeah, anyway. That all happened. What
That's,
the fuck was I talking about? Doesn't matter.
yeah.
Guys, I'm sorry. This is a low quality podcast. This is the return for us, and it's a tough transition.
It's not. They know.
Jeez, what else happened? We've had all kinds of.
I mean,
crazy
I
shit
got a
happen.
tattoo.
Yeah, so Sally had her. Yeah, you got a tattoo.
Yeah.
Of a gnome with a fishing basket,
Yeah.
with a wicker basket.
Yeah. A little gnome.
Did they say, what do you want your tattoo of? I'd like the gnome from Travago with a fishing basket, a wicker basket with fish coming out of it.
We don't have Travago.
Oh, good.
Here.
We have a template for that.
We don't have Travago here.
I want to make sure he has Mickey Mouse ears on the patch on his elbow.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, perfect. That's the one we have. That's the template we have.
Well, I thought that, I didn't know that they could do tattoos like they do nowadays. And I was expecting, like, 3 circles for the Mickey Mouse. And then it's like a straight up, like, Mickey. So...
Yeah, no, they don't need, you don't need copyright. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was impressed that you got a tattoo. I'm always, I'm concerned that I'll go to hell if I get a tattoo. So I've just been...
Well, I figured, why not?
If you go... I'll just, I'll try and send some water down if you're thirsty.
Yeah. I'll try to piss on your gums if they're on fire.
You did pretty good in life. Too bad about that tattoo. Well, eternal hell. It's Mickey Mouse and a travel gnome. Doesn't matter.
Bye. Burn, fucker.
Yeah, your body's a temple and you just graffitied it, bitch. Although, I'll tell you what, I think a tattoo is much less offensive than being as fat as I am. So, I guess I'm going down too. Gluttony? Is that the 7
Yeah,
that
well, it's
I'm
certainly one of them.
in the midst of? Yeah.
It
It isn't lust, I'll tell you that much.
We, yeah.
Good story. Good story, guys. So far, this podcast has been a call, a guilt call about my mother, and then we talked about your tattoo.
Yeah.
Sally, cousin Sally. So for those who don't know, she's 88
Oh, no.
years old.
Yeah.
84 maybe. She's in her 80s. She's about 4'6" and was for quite a while well over 300 pounds, I would say.
You reckon?
So kind of like. Yeah, I mean, when she was at her biggest, she looked like the blueberry kid from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate
I
Factory.
still think she looks like that, though. That's what I mean.
She's got very short arms. One time, she talked about how she couldn't
Wipe her bottom.
properly wipe her bum. And I guess I shouldn't be sharing that on a podcast, but her abs are just too short to reach. She talks like that because she also has COPD. And when she sleeps, her oxygen sats go into the low 70s.
I know.
Which is technically not compatible with life, right?
Yeah, it's like, that's something else.
It takes me a while to get up in the mornings since my oxygen sats are in the 60s to 70s overnight.
I know.
Well, that's amazing that you're getting up.
Yeah, you should be proud.
Like Dad's oxygen sats were in the 70s for like 4 hours after he died.
Jeez.
Anyway.
So what are you talking about?
Today...
Oh, sorry. I'm not even talking into my microphone. What
No.
are you talking about today?
So I found this... I tried to find the most mysterious Canadian mystery of all time. It's a little double mysterious. That's how mysterious this one is. And I wanted to do supernatural stuff, like I was saying 3 months ago when we last recorded a podcast. And so we haven't really talked about aliens. And I said, well, I need a mystery that incorporates aliens. And this is what I found.
So aliens.
So let's cue the True Crime Garage music once more. Yeah, perfect. Let's set the mood. I'm going to do this one like Nick reads, the intro. 29/11/80. Dear Mother and Father, I have gone away to walk aboard an alien spaceship. As reoccurring dreams assured a 42-month interstellar voyage to explore the vast universe, then return. I'm leaving behind all my possessions to you, as I will no longer require the use of any. Please use the instructions in my will as a guide to help. Love, Granger. So this is the story of Granger Taylor.
Granger was born. Taylor came one day
and jumped aboard a saucer. Fuck's sake. Anyway, Granger Taylor was born October 7th, 1948, and he lived in Duncan, BC on Vancouver Island. Vancouver Island, for those not Canadian, does not include the city of Vancouver. It's one of those... it's got the city of Victoria in it, though, so it's good enough. At the time, it was kind of a logging and fishing town. Now it's just an expensive town. Granger had an incredible aptitude for constructing and repairing devices.
IBS is a real thing.
Granger Taylor jumped aboard the fleet of saucers. His friend Bob Nielsen calls him an eccentric genius, and Granger lived his whole life with his parents in their wooded property by the lake. He dropped out of school in grade 8, but was always considered a mechanical wizard.
Oh.
After dropping out of school, he worked as a mechanic's assistant for 1 year, but after his short apprenticeship, he started his own business, which by my estimation would make him 19 or 14 years old at that time, grade 9-ish.
Mm-hmm. An entrepreneur.
He was an entrepreneur. And he was self-employed as a mechanic, welder, and he repaired heavy machinery. And every time I think about him, I think of John the Wizard from Shediac, New Brunswick. Yeah. At 14 years old, he built a single-cylinder car, which they put on display in the Duncan Museum. At 17 years old, he rebuilt a bulldozer.
Because it didn't run.
It was museum quality.
Yeah.
It's got one cylinder, so it'll go, but not fast. At 17, he rebuilt a bulldozer that other mechanics had long given up on. And in his early 20s, he cleared a trail through a half-mile of dense forest to get to the remains of an abandoned locomotive from the Great Depression. The parts of the locomotive, like the trucks and the drive shafts, had been scavenged during World War II for building war materials, I assume. And there were actual trees growing up through the rusted frame of the train. He dragged the engine back to his parents' house, which had become a de facto automotive junkyard, and over 2 years restored it. And in 1973, the province of British Columbia purchased the steam engine and put it on a museum train tour before displaying it in the BC Forest Discovery Centre. Jeez. Again, mechanical genius or lunatic? Hard to know.
Yeah.
I mean, the engine, it was a train engine he restored, so presumably he made it work, right?
Yeah.
But a steam engine isn't that complicated. It's just steam pushing the... Anyway, we're getting some mixed messages on this guy already, but I'll continue. He grew to 6'3" and 240 pounds, which I can relate to. And his friends called him Gentle Ben, which I can't relate to. He became very interested in flight and got his pilot's license, and then he bought a Kitty Hawk warplane, which he restored. Every time I think of him, everybody knows a mechanic weirdo who has all these rusted out cars and is always like tinkering with them, right? But anyway, maybe he's doing a better job than the average mechanic weirdo. Somewhere in the middle of all this stuff. So here's the thing. The CBC did a report on this. This is how I found it. And it was like the biggest Canadian mystery of all time. They said he was a clean living guy, lived with his parents, he was a teetotaler, blah, blah, blah. Then I found a Vice article about it. And they interviewed Bob Nielsen, who was his best friend, who admitted that he began taking copious amounts of hallucinogenic drugs. So there may be some explanations for this mystery after.
Yeah, it sounds pretty mysterious.
Yeah. Granger became fascinated with UFOs and how they fly. He built himself a UFO sanctuary under the trees in his parents' backyard. He called it Granger's Flying Saucer, and it took 6 months to build. He welded basically 2 giant satellite dishes. Do you remember when our Uncle Bob first got satellite TV and the thing was like bigger than his cottage? Yeah. He had 2 of those welded together and outfitted the interior with, what do you think would he put inside his flying saucer?
Ramen noodles.
Okay. What else? What modern devices?
Microwave.
I'm just gonna tell you, a television, a couch, and a wood burning stove.
Oh, he was going on a holiday.
It was holiday in the backyard.
Right.
He became obsessed with finding out how flying saucers are powered and spent hours sitting in his ship thinking about it, often sleeping there. I just want to step in again in my own story and interrupt and say that this guy's clearly a fucking lunatic.
Looney Tunes.
I wonder, how are those flying saucers powered? How do they do it? He never stopped to think,
they don't
do flying
exist.
saucers exist? So I'm going to discuss his research and development into this. He collected books about UFOs, read hundreds of eyewitness accounts, and basically threw himself into the world of pseudoscientific horseshit. Whenever he would go out with friends, all he wanted to discuss was how UFOs are powered.
Oh, no.
I would do it once, and then I'd be like, I'm not fucking going out with Granger anymore.
Yeah.
I know he fixed my Lincoln, but
that dude's fucked.
all he talks about fucking UFOs.
Yeah.
Too much acid. Around that time, he confided in Bob Nielsen that he had received a message from space. From his sofa, he claimed to make a telepathic contact with an entity from outside the Milky Way. The beings told him their crafts were magnetic. A day later, the alien invited him to go on a trip through the solar system. They planned a 42-month interstellar voyage. He told his friends about this.
How could you say no to that, though?
I know. If an alien in my head said, do you want to go on a 42-month interstellar voyage through the Milky Way? I'd be like, fuck everything. I'm going.
Yeah. Bye. Bye, cruel world.
I know exactly how this happened. This is why you don't take LSD, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had dreams about aliens, but I don't wake up and think, oh, I'm gonna go through the Milky Way because an alien contacted me while I was lying on my couch. Anyway, he told his friends about all this, and then he took his friends out for a going away party. They must have been such a bunch of stoned morons. Anyway, November 28th, 1980, he had a long conversation with his stepfather, Jim, telling him how grateful he was. And I think of Jim, and I think of the weirdo kid that he's raised, that he's done his best for, who lives in a flying saucer in the backyard. And the guy just coming in the middle of the night and talking to me, and talking. Like, first of all, it's like, oh, I'm so grateful. You're such a great dad. Oh, okay, thanks. And then he starts going on about, have you ever wondered about, like, how magnetics make flying saucers go? And be like, it's late. I just wanted to have sex with your mother.
Oh. Help us.
His mother was in Hawaii that night. Granger prepared 2 wills with detailed instructions for what his parents should do with his possessions, which I'm sure were worth a fortune. With the junked car in the front yard. Give it away. He scratched out the word deceased in his will and wrote the word departed. At 6 p.m. November 29th, Taylor entered Bob's Grill for dinner, where he was a regular. He dined by himself.
That's
He
weird.
was not dressed for the storm that was brewing outside. I know. You'd think he'd be surrounded by pussy, drowning in twat. He wasn't dressed for the storm that was brewing outside. He wore a brown knitted sweater, a black T-shirt, jeans, and logger boots with no winter coat. The coat was later found inside the doghouse. He, I don't know what that means. Did he sleep in the doghouse? Did he give it to the dog? It's hard to say.
Who knows?
He left as a gale began tearing through Duncan. The next morning, as the town cleaned up, the rumor began that Granger had disappeared from the face of the earth. Let's move on to the investigation, shall we? Jim Taylor, the father-in-law, stepfather, contacted the RCMP. They checked records for the hospital. They checked passport records, employment records, and vehicle records, but they couldn't find him or his car. Granger, that is. They put his name on the National Police computer system, which, as you know, in 1980 would have been super modern. They put out an alert if his driver's license was to be renewed. Corporal Mike Demchuk, 4 years later, admitted that the strangest thing of all was that his 1972 Datsun pickup truck was never found. I think this Datsun might have been bright purple. One of, again, Vice said it was one color. The CBC said it was the other. Throughout the 1980s, the Taylors took out ads advertising a $100 reward to anyone who found the vehicle.
Oh my gosh.
I know, $100, yo. That was 1980s money, so that's like today, 120 million. The registration expired in 1981, suggesting it was no longer on the road. According to...
that's another laughable thing.
Yeah.
Of course, no one drives unregistered vehicles.
It can't be. The registration expired. It must be in space. Fucking people. Probably all the RCMP were also dropping hits of acid every night in their cruisers. I think you really went up with aliens, man. I'm not comfortable sitting on the side of the road here. And the guy next to him's like, I'm not even in the car. You're imagining me. Yeah. Anyway. So I got some divergent stories about what happened. CBC would report that nothing was ever found. No trace. Canada's greatest mystery. Vice and Time Life books suggested otherwise. So there was a logger who was working on a mountain. I think it's called Mount Sicker, sort of close to where Granger was in Duncan. And he came across a piece of a car embedded in a tree. And next to that was a giant crater in the mountain. It is believed that Granger was carrying explosives at the time of his disappearance.
Right, to blast him off into space.
Exactly. This is where I'm thinking it's maybe not as big a mystery. So it may be worth noting that the area was known for UFO sightings. And I remember growing up, there was one called the Cowichan sighting or Cowichan sighting. They used to talk about it on like Unsolved Mysteries and stuff. And that was New Year's Eve, 1969. A nurse at the Cowichan District Hospital named Doreen Kendall, along with her patients and other nurses, saw a Saturn-shaped object with two humanoid occupants hovering outside the hospital window.
Right.
The Vice article suggested there may be some bone fragments that were discovered in the crater in the woods, but the Lifetimes article said there were no human remains found.
Of course not. Yeah, it'd be crazy.
So, I guess that takes us to the theories. And, I mean, to me, the theory is, A, did he commit suicide and he just didn't want his parents to think he committed suicide and he thought he'd come up with some bizarre hoax and just say, like, oh, I'm going up with aliens, don't look for me, I'll be back in 42 months. And then he thought that'd be less painful, maybe? Because he was crazy. Or did he take so much acid that he thought the aliens were instructing him to go out into the woods with his Datsun and take a bunch of dynamite and shape a charge just right so that it would blow his Datsun into orbit where the aliens
shove
could
the
meet
stick
him.
of dynamite up your ass, sit on the
that's
other
the
pile
secret.
of dynamite, and you shall join us.
Light the fuse.
Yeah. Probably that one.
Maybe what happened. He may, if the crater and the car fragments are not his, and there were no bone fragments, maybe he just ran away and didn't want to.
Yeah, maybe he just moved into the parents' basement instead of the spacecraft in their front yard.
We looked everywhere for him.
We
didn't look in the basement.
Yeah, there he is.
Yeah, he's still there.
Dried little jerky corpse.
So many aliens. And there's always a possibility that he just turned into a hermit and just like took off into the woods. That might explain why he left all his earthly possessions. But to me, like, his possessions were probably crap. He might have had some tools. I don't know. And then there's, of course, the final theory in which Granger was picked up by a UFO.
Well, I think that's the most reasonable one.
That's certainly what the CBC thinks, but they also like Justin Trudeau, so you got to kind of not take them at their word for a lot of this
stuff. If he
loved
loved aliens and he's disappeared, he must have been abducted by aliens.
He's like, how does it work with the anatomy? Sorry, what do you mean, Granger? The anatomy, when you have sex with a green chick. That was an episode of Star Trek. Yeah, but that's real. They told me in a message to my brain when I was sleeping.
Jeez.
Anyway, so Granger, I feel a little bad that I'm doing him some disrespect, but I think it's not a mystery if people are taking hallucinogenic drugs when weird shit happens.
And the other thing is, like,
to me,
his cousin, his cousin Hermione did great things.
That's right. It depends on which strain of acid you take.
Yeah,
you can either Wingardium Leviosa, or you can stick dynamite up your ass and blow yourself to kingdom come.
Yeah,
you gotta be careful.
Yeah, so
you want to take the one that has the little H with the lightning bolt on it. You don't want to take the blue microdot.
Oh my gosh!
Do you remember all the different kinds of acid that they had when we were in school?
No.
I never bought it, but I remember them talking about it. I was like, oh man, it's going to be a good weekend. There's yellow microdot in town.
I remember
it's all just the same chemical.
I remember the guy named Cedric.
Yeah.
We were at some party on the top of the mountain, and he opened his LSD and he dropped the actual like tab of it and ate the tinfoil. That was the only time.
That's probably
that
for the best.
Well, but then he was still like, "Oh my god, I'm tripping," and it was just like they're just selling coffee filters.
It could be. I went to a Fish concert. I'm going to a Fish concert on Tuesday, by the way, in Bangor.
Oh.
So that'll be fun. I wish you were here. Fuck.
Yeah, I was thinking I would like to go on a motorcycle journey.
I know. I've got 2 dirt bikes just sitting there waiting to be used by you and I.
Next year.
I almost killed Jack and I on it. Because on our trail, the guys doing highway construction have strung a power line on these little things about 12 inches off the ground. And I went barreling down with Jack on the tank, saw the power line, slammed on the brakes, nearly crashed, and Jack slid up and smashed his balls on the handlebars.
Why would Canadian workers
I just don't think.
Yeah, they're pretty dumb.
No offense. I mean, Dave, if you're a Canadian worker, I don't know what you do. It's not. It's just a generalization.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a bit of uncaringness about like.
Yeah.
Geez, do you think somebody could get hurt? Doesn't matter. We're getting paid by the hour.
Over here, they're like, okay, we're going to redo the road, and then the next week the road is done. In Canada,
this is just
here they're like,
draw it out as long as you can.
We're going to redo the road, and then all of the summer the road is being reworked, and I have no idea how it can possibly take that long.
And how they can do such a bad job that it needs to be done again next year. But they do it every year. They do the same fucking roads every year, the same spots.
It's so bad.
They're like, oh well, it's a frost heave. No, fuck you. You built the road. It shouldn't. We've had enough asphalt technology. We've been around. Asphalt's been around for like 75 years.
The driveway, our driveway was rough, but it's 30 odd years old, and and it was still drivable.
Yeah. But the road's horrendous. And that's the thing. They're like, oh, there's 6 potholes to fix. Well, that's 3 years of employment right there for 40 people. So they take them in Vancouver. They used to, because I lived on a main road in Vancouver, they used to cut down the road. They were working on a pipe under the road. They did the same job for 6 months. They would cut down the road, work on a little piece of the pipe, fill it back in, put new tarmac over it every night so that people could drive on the road in the morning, and then at 10 o'clock they'd do it again. There was so much road that they built and tore up you could have probably built 500 miles of road by the time they finished fixing the pipe that ran under the road.
Yeah.
Man,
It's
morons.
it's a
Fucking
real
morons.
frustration for me.
I don't usually. Well, I get upset about quite easily now. Actually, I shouldn't say I don't get upset about these things, but that thing sends me off the deep end. Whenever I'm going, like if I drive down Ross Avenue in St. John and I see they've torn it up again, and it's all dusty and there's rocks everywhere, and there are 500 guys standing around smoking, like pretending getting a paycheck from our fucking tax dollars to do dick all, and then
to
the
look into
mayor
a
of
hole.
St. John's complaining that the mayor of St. John says, "Oh, we got to reappropriate the suburbs because they need to pay more taxes. They got to pay their fair share. They use the city too," and he's just wasting money giving it to his buddies who own construction companies. I just feel like going fucking
because
ballistic.
Dad used to get really.
Don't take this as like my manifesto. I'm not actually going to like storm in there with some sort of carbine rifle and go crazy. I'm just saying.
Dad used to get
saying
so
it
mad
drives me
too
nuts.
because the construction companies would give them a guarantee on the road, but as soon as they made any cuts into the road, the guarantee was void. So
the city would hire the city engineer to go out and take samples by cutting through the road
so then
to void the warranty.
So then they could redo it again.
They still do
It's
that, and they
frustrating.
They just say we need to pay more taxes.
Yeah.
Instead of saying, maybe we should stop voiding the warranty on all our roads and giving kickbacks to the construction lobbyists. Maybe they should just say, let's stop doing that.
Yeah.
But they won't say that because they're corrupt assholes. Anyway, that's my take on Granger Taylor and the mystery disappearance.
Well, I'm going to talk about the SS Orang Medan.
Oh, cool, because we talked a little bit about that in the Mary Celeste
I don't remember it at
episode.
all. So I'm sure that our listener may have forgotten as well.
Well, you were talking about Rotten Teeth guy.
Yeah. I probably
Richard Ramirez.
What the fuck?
Sorry. Well, and now that I'm done my story, I can kind of sit back and put my foot on the footstool, but I knocked the footstool over.
Well, orang means man, and Medan means Indonesian, which is kind of funny because you would think that it'd be the opposite. You think that Medan sounds like man, so they would make that man, but no, orang means man, and
what does Medan mean?
Indonesian. So I'm wondering if orangutan means like man,
looks like a man.
Manish,
Yeah, it does.
or something.
Man like ape.
Anyway,
Because orang. Yeah.
it was a ghost ship which became wrecked in the city. Wrecked? Yeah, in the city. Dutch
ships get wrecked.
city.
Sure.
Oh, Medan is an Indonesian city.
So it's not a reference to being Indonesian like, because I would have thought that would be orang Indonesian.
Yeah, no, it's Orang Medan is an Indonesian city. So the
you go.
Orang Medan is a ghost ship which became wrecked in the Dutch West Indies, and by West Indies I mean East Indies. So.
Oh, I'm just going to interrupt you here already. Orangutan means person of the forest.
Oh, okay, yeah.
In Malaysian and Indonesian.
There
so
you go. Orang Medan does not mean that. It means a man of the Indonesian
Person of the Medan.
city. So it's a ghost ship which became wrecked in the Dutch East Indies. The entire crew was found dead, and the circumstances of the death was very suspicious. The story first appeared in 1948, so we're going back a little bit. And because it was 1948, the details are pretty sketch. just like Tree Crime Garage, I also clear my throat. In June 1947, two American ships navigate.
Chips. Two American salt and vinegar chips. One was carrying salt, the other vinegar. This is the origin story.
The third, potatoes. You move.
The fourth, oil.
You move, said ship 1. No, you move, said ship 2 and 3.
It was a 4-ship game of chicken.
A collision occurred, and thus was the birth time
in the ensuing fire
of the salt and vinegar chip. Salt and vinegar ship.
The salt and vinegar chips.
So
next week, Cheetos.
2 trucks going at the similar speed. One with cheese, one with boiling rice and oil.
Are they rice or corn? I was assuming it was like corn meal.
I would assume it's whatever's the cheapest. So probably
whatever's going cheap. Just gluten units.
Yeah, recycled styrofoam.
These gluten
you know what?
units.
You could make them out of recycled styrofoam. They would be delicious, and you would not get fat.
That's right, because you would die.
Anyway, in June 2000, fuck my life. In June 1947, 2 salt and vinegar ships were navigating in the Straits of Malacca, the city of Baltimore, and Silver Star were the names of these ships. They picked up Morris.
You wrote your notes on your phone, didn't you?
No, I wrote them in my handwriting 5 years ago from the fields.
Yeah, when we
They
last
picked
did an
up
episode.
Morse code messages from a distress from nearby orangutan. Oh my god!
Okay, so they weren't in Baltimore. One of the
It
ships
was
was
City
named
of
the
Baltimore, and the Silver Star were the
gotcha.
2 ships that they.
What a stupid name! What a confusing name for a
We'll
ship.
just call it salt and vinegar from now on.
Yeah.
The message was SOS from Orangutan. We float. All officers, including captain, are dead in chart room and on bridge. Probably whole crew dead. Now, I read it that way because it was in Morse code, so that's how it sounded.
Yeah. Yeah.
We float.
Imagine how annoying how frustrating it would be to be in a life and death situation and have to send out a distress call in Morse code.
But you'd be really good at it. Do you remember when you used to have to text and push like 2222 for C?
Yeah.
So it was like 2222. Wait a second, 2, and then 88888 for call, and then it'd be like call me soon, but it would take an hour and a half. But I was fucking quick as shit with that. Anyway.
Yeah, because H button. Yeah, I remember that. I was just thinking like, and then what if you made a typo and they were like, everybody on ship is dried.
Yeah.
You'd be like, well, that
good
sounds
for
nice.
them. Good for them.
That's good. The water was awfully chilly.
Yeah, I mean, and also
we won't go respond to that.
They're known for being alcoholics on ships, right? So
yeah, they're dried out. It was
good for them.
Yeah.
Good. Then some more nonsense.
The SS Rehab.
Some more nonsense Morse code, and then the last message is, "I die." The letter I, not EYE.
Yeah.
Salt located and boarded the Orangutan in a rescue attempt. The ship was undamaged, but it was littered with corpses, including the corpse of a dog. The corpses were all on their back with a face of frozen fear and terror, and the eyes were staring straight ahead. So basically, a dead body.
Yeah.
No survivors, no injuries. Then, as they were doing their investigation, the ship suddenly caught on fire when they started to tow it, and they evacuated it, and it exploded and sunk. So there's a few theories as to what may have happened.
Oh, because they found it. Did they find the bodies?
Yeah, they were like, it was littered with bodies. There's pictures of a few, and it is just people kind of with their eyes open. It looks like they're in rigor mortis. So like, you know, like if you are using up a lot of energy when you die, you go into rigor faster. I think it sounds like they were maybe like running or breathing heavy or something like that because their arms were outstretched and it looked like they were in rigor mortis. So
it was like the ship got gassed, basically.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me.
Maybe.
So they think that potentially there was unsecured hazardous material, like potassium cyanide, nitroglycerin, or nerve agents.
Right.
They think also it could have been carbon monoxide. And then the more realistic theories are that it could have been ghosts or aliens. So obviously, like aliens, that would explain the fear. Ghosts also can be quite scary. So
Also, mortis means dead, and they had rigor mortis,
Yeah.
which to me says
yeah,
ghost.
so I feel
Most
like
likely. The mark of
yeah,
the
they
ghost.
were like ooh, boo, and then they died.
They rigored.
Then the last theory, and this is more my theory, is that it's make believe.
Yeah, there is a chance it's make believe, because I was going to say, when I was researching the Mary Celeste, I came across this one, and it was so who found them? It was like a American warship that found them, wasn't it?
Two American
Or it was
warships, one salt, one vinegar.
the city of Baltimore
Yeah,
and
and the
something
Silver
else.
Star.
So one of the reports I read said that this story was made up for a Pulp Fiction magazine.
Pulp Fiction.
That it wasn't
John
real.
Travolta?
Yes. Oh,
Sorry, it's my daughter. Hold on.
it's Mom.
Hi, how are you, baby? Hello.
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Did your tooth fall out?
Yeah.
Good for you. Did you pull it out, or did it just fall out when you were eating lunch?
Actually, I could touch the bottom of my tooth even before it came out.
Gross. Did it?
Because it was with one string and it would just hang down my face, and then I just pulled it out.
Nice.
It's perfect material, actually.
Nice. You're on the podcast with Uncle Jake.
Yeah.
Yeah, like we're on it right now. You're talking on the podcast.
I'd say hello, but
Oh,
she can't hear.
yay!
Yeah, Uncle Jake's not as excited to hear you as.
That's not
Yeah.
true.
Oh, he says you suck. No,
I did not.
Right.
he didn't. He didn't say that. Anyway, I love you, kiddo. Are you having lunch now?
Actually, I had morning tea. I'm having morning tea.
Oh, okay. Well, congratulations on your tooth. Make sure you keep it so the tooth fairy comes.
Yeah, and it's right before my birthday.
I know. So, do you think
I'll
it's a
get rich!
do you think it's a $5 tooth or a $1 tooth?
Worked pretty hard for it.
Okay. Oh,
$5.
I'll send out good vibes.
Okay.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson is going to sneak into your room and steal your tooth tonight from under your pillow. So.
Oh my god.
And all the other ones from
know.
your head.
I know. It's what keeps him youthful. So.
Okay.
All right. I love you, kiddo.
Love you.
Enjoy. I'll talk to you soon. I'm meeting you
Okay.
at Elijah's classroom, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Bye. Peace.
Bye.
Love you. Bye. That was.
So the orangutan.
Yeah. So that's it.
Yeah.
So aliens, ghosts, or carbon monoxide, or some other gas, but
Or make
or
believe.
make believe. So
To me, I think there's always a little hint of truth in these stories. I'm guessing they got a distress call. They showed up and there was a boat full of dead people. Now, maybe it really happened and it was like full of propane, and that's why it
did they
blew
have
up and
propane
sunk.
in 1948?
Well, propane occurs naturally too. I'm sure they had natural gas, didn't they?
Did they?
I
They
don't
were
know.
using
Were
steam
there
engines.
barbecues in the 40s?
They were
or
using
was it all
steam
charcoal?
engines. Don't you think they'd be like, oh, you know what?
Well, that's because the
Let's-
boat was old. It's not that they only had
Let's
steam
go, like-
engines. It's not like there was a tramp steamer invading Normandy in 1945.
They probably.
We're getting behind the airplanes. Put more coal under the boiler.
Don't you, but did they? Were they able?
I almost bought a
hold
1948
on.
car.
How did they cremate all those people? They must have had gas.
Cremate. Yeah, I don't think it would be wood burning. Wood burning stove. I
don't
know.
know either.
It's still like that in India. I mean, I've gone racist already. It's just, but I saw a special where they just float people out into the Ganges, like
and they
on a burning
yeah,
funeral
and they
pyre.
also
Have you seen
just
that?
put them on the rocks because they think that the buzzards or eagles are doing something. But then now the eagles are
Holy.
becoming endangered, and now they just have piles of corpses.
spicy smelling eagle
no,
corpses.
no.
I can't eat their food. I can smell it out of my pores for like weeks after. Oh, I don't have hemochromatosis. There's some news for you.
Legit?
I got my legit. I got my molecular genetics back today.
I haven't gotten mine yet.
No hemochromatosis.
If you don't have it, does that mean I don't have it?
Not necessarily, but it's less.
I mean,
likely,
I feel
right?
pretty shitty all the time.
Well, I'll tell you, I've got these stomach problems. I don't know what the hell. I think I had them last time we talked.
Did they test you
But I
for
can't even,
gluten
like, lie
intolerance
down.
and all that sort of shit?
That's make believe.
Yeah.
Come on now. We all know
Well,
that.
I mean, it's a supernatural podcast.
Everyone thinks you're gonna have one bite of gluten, and your dick's gonna go flying off like a rocket. Yeah. No. I don't know if you've ever seen the South Park episode about gluten, but it's worth watching. It's really fun. It's like, if it's so safe, eat it. He's like, okay. And he bites it, and then his dick flies out of his pants, and he collapses down and dies, and everybody panics and runs out. And then for punishment, like the whole world goes anti-gluten, and for punishment, they put people in Papa John's.
I'm watching this new show called Ink Master. It's on Spike in
About
yours,
tattoos.
on your side of the world. It is so good. I love it. It's about
There was
tattoos.
one a long time ago, remember, with Kat Von D?
No.
It was like Miami Ink, I think.
Oh,
it was
yeah,
called.
no, this is a competition. So it's not just like, hey, look at this person doing a great tattoo. It's like,
Wait a minute. How do you do a tattoo competition? Is your canvas like
no,
cows?
it's real people. And that's why it's so good. Because, like, some of the tattoos
Because they're stuck with it.
are like,
Do some of them
shit.
suck?
Yes. Like, some of them you look at. But then, like, every time the people get up off the chair and they're like, oh, that's sick, dude. I love it. And then the judges look at it and they're like, dude, that is totally jacked. That is the worst tattoo I've ever seen in my life. So then,
Is it like when Steve-O got one while they were in a moving car,
I don't know.
driving across the desert in Jackass? That's hilarious.
But yeah, so, all right, well, good on you guys. If anyone's
You stuck it out. If you
if
made it
anyone's
this far,
listening to this,
unbelievable.
well done.
You made it through 2 child encounters, 2 phone calls with our mother. My terrible story about Granger Taylor and the alien abduction in Canada that was probably a guy blowing himself up with dynamite. And Dan's story about orangutans and salt and vinegar chips.
Don't
So
forget Cheetos.
let's do one next week. Let's just plan it because we never talk.
I
other
know.
than
I
on
know.
the
I was
podcast.
thinking about that. It's
We
like
can do this off the
is our,
record,
like
but let's
little
just do it.
reunion time as well.
Yeah, that's right. We got to get you out to Canada.
Yeah, I mean,
Ideally, without either of our families
I,
being here.
well, what we could do is, guys, don't forget that we've got a Patreon page. If you if you
That's
want
true.
Jake and I,
If we have one super rich,
if,
if we have a super rich fan out there and they want a live episode,
yeah, if you're out there, I will send you the watercolor painting that I did in today's episode. It's pretty bad, and but you must pay for my flights to Canada.
I'll fly economy, but I want the exit aisle. It's a must.
So yeah, I don't know if you're out there, but anyway, you can find that all on One Foot in the Grave
What is it?
podcast at Weebly.com. That's where all the links are. I've redone.
You can send us some stories. One Foot in the Grave podcast at gmail.com.
Yeah, it's
right?
all the links.
So Lisa, we'll do yours
all
next
the
time.
all
We'll
the
do
links
yours
are on the
next time.
website. I've rejiggered the website so I think it actually looks okay on both desktop and mobile phone. And
And listen, the other thing, we're not worthy of it, but do it anyway. Go on iTunes, give us a 5-star
just
review,
fucking do
because
it.
that actually gets
Like,
people to listen
I
to
mean,
the podcast.
think of it as your own personal joke to the world, right?
Yeah, it's like, when Ricky Gervais sent Carl Pilkington around the world just as a practical joke. Think of it like
Yeah,
that.
like-
You are literally recommending the shittiest
Yeah.
podcast in the compendium of podcasts.
And if anyone ever was like,
to be
oh, why the
listened to
fuck
by
did
other
everyone
people."
give this a 5-star review? You can re-comment like, fuck you, motherfucker. You just got played.
You're the best. Yeah. It's like being rickrolled. You'll be 1 foot in the grave.
Yeah,
rolled.
that's right. So yeah, tell all your friends it's great. They'll think it's hilarious. All right, y'all.
All right.
Talk to you later.
See you, weirdos.
Bye.
All right. Yeah.
Bye.
Okay. Love you, bro.
Love.